Today I was taking stock of how many payments I have made through the day using UPI or Google Pay, which is my preferred route. I paid for potted plants from the garden shop. I paid for a photo to be framed. I paid for vegetables or the sabzi guy, all from the comfort of my home without leaving my home, because now you can video call, order something, they'll send it over, and you use Google Pay. But here's the thing, while Google Pay or UPI has become the preferred mode of payments for all of us in the last few years, there seems to be a twist in the tail, because now there's buzz that the government might actually consider charging each transaction because it will no longer be free. Now, this is where it's coming from. The RBI governor recently made a statement saying that it's a great system, it's done a lot of good, but it's not sustainable. And in order for it to be sustainable, somebody is going to have to pay, either the government or the users. And this is coming at a backdrop of a controversy that came up in Karnataka, where a lot of small traders who, vegetable vendors, people who have small shops, were served GST notices because they kept track of their UPI trades to see how much money they were making, and they're now getting GST notices. So here's the question: if traders are going to pull off and say, we no longer want to use UPI because we don't want to get a GST notice, and if the government is going to tax or add a transaction fee to UPI, does this mean we have to go back to cash? What is going on? That's the video that we're looking at. So let me quickly, before I go forward, remind you to like, share, subscribe, and share this video with whomever you think will find the video useful. Now, to begin with, I want to remind you that UPI or Unified Payment Interface was launched in 2016. It was part of the base of Digital India, moving us all from cash transactions onto digital transactions, and it really has achieved its goal. According to the PIB, which is the Press Information Bureau of India, which is the government sort of PR firm, it says that UPI has processed 18 billion transactions every month in India. Remember, we are about 1.4 billion people. We are doing 18 billion transactions on UPI alone. June this year, UPI handled 24 lakh crore rupees in payments, and these were transactions that has gone up 32% from the same period last year. Now, UPI serves about 491 million individuals and 65 million merchants because it managed to connect over 670 banks on a single platform, where it doesn't matter which bank you're moving money from and into, you can do it based on a phone number. And today, UPI apparently accounts for 85% of all digital transactions in India. It's not just an India story. Apparently, 50% of the global digital real-time payments are being done on UPI, because simply from our numbers, India accounts for a large part of the globe. So it seems like we're doing really well. It seems like we've eliminated a large amount of cash transactions. And I think that you and I, remember, we forget to go to the ATM, you forget to draw cash. People are not using cash as much. Regular people are not using cash as much. Corruption is still using a lot of cash. But there seems to be a problem in this as well. Now, this started mid-July, where in Bengaluru, there's a market called the KR market, which a lot of residents of Bengaluru will know. Traders began putting up posters saying UPI not accepted. Okay, this raised a lot of eyebrows, saying what is going on. So it turned out that thousands of small traders in Karnataka, vegetable vendors, street side shoppers, began getting GST notices based on their UPI transactions. It came to attention when one vegetable vendor called Haveri was given a notice demanding 29 lakh rupees in GST dues. And according to the notice, over 1.63 crore rupees had been credited into his bank account via UPI transactions over the last 4 years, and that then qualified him to pay GST. Now, the vegetable vendor, who's been running a small vegetable store, has basically said that he's been filing income tax, but vegetables are not taxable under GST. So why is he getting that notice? And it turns out basically that these notices have been given to a bunch of people. Now, according to a report in PTI dated the 23rd of July, over 6,000 such notices have been issued to various small traders. And speaking to PTI, the Joint Commissioner of Commercial Taxes, Meera Suresh Pandit, apparently has said that these notices are not tax demands, but the recipient of the notice has to come and give documentation and give justification as to why their particular goods, like vegetables, for example, are exempted from GST, and the notices will be dropped. Now, what she has said, and I'm quoting her, she says, when a person reaches a threshold of 20 lakh rupees for services and 40 lakh rupees for goods, it is mandatory that they get registered under the GST Act. So this registration then empowers them to collect taxes from consumers and pay it to government, and that is why the notices are being issued. The department, she said, cannot identify if every trader is required registration, but the UPI transaction data is giving them sort of a net of people that they can right now send notices to. So she's saying basically, if you're doing tuition, for example, tuition fees is exempt, but it will show in your UPI transaction. So you will get a notice. Now you go with documentation to the department and you show that this is the business I'm doing, it's exempt, so I don't have to pay tax. And if the department is satisfied, she says, if the reply is convincing, the notice will be dropped, proceedings will close with a nil demand. But I just want to imagine here, traders like shopkeepers who are selling vegetables, people who are doing tuitions as a part-time thing, expecting them to come to the GST department with response and satisfy the officer there to drop the case, seems like a lot of harassment on the face of it. Now, the officer has also said some innocent traders are being carried away, hoping every notice will be withdrawn. Some are being misled. If they want relief from the legal provisions, they should come to the department. We will guide them. So there is a lot of concerns right now. One trade activist called Sajjanraj Mehta has raised concerns about the fact that this is fundamentally unfair. He said many small traders are unaware of what their cumulative UPI inflow looks like because it's a mix of business and personal transactions. It's undeclared turnover. Fairness will not be in enforcement, but it actually helping people understand the system. And there's a visible hesitation, he's saying right now. People are reverting back to cash. They're asking their customers to pay them cash, and this is causing a lot of nervousness across the board. Now here's the question: is it the central government that is doing this or the state government that's doing this? It's important to understand that GST is actually a dual system, both center and state. So for traders and vendors and small traders, it's normally the state GST department that issues notices from the commercial taxes department. The central GST department actually looks at larger entities who are multi-state entities, big conglomerates that function across state borders, larger big ticket companies is what the central government looks at. So for small vendors and vegetable sellers in Karnataka, it's the state government's commercial tax department that's been sending them notices. The central government sets the law and framework, but the field level enforcement is actually done by the state department. Now, there's the next question. Is the central government going to do the same thing? Are they going to charge GST, UPI transactions? The short answer is no. Now, the issue in Karnataka is being looked at politically also. There is a question about it. But in the meantime, in Parliament, the central government has clarified. The Ministry of Finance has said in Rajya Sabha that there's no recommendation right now to levy GST on UPI transactions over 2,000 rupees as per the GST Council. So if that's the case, then why are we talking about it? Why are we worried? Because after that statement was made, the RBI governor made a statement at an event he was speaking at where he said for UPI to remain sustainable, someone has to bear the cost. He said UPI is currently free because it's being subsidized by the government, which is the government is paying for the cost of the entire banking system to give you UPI for free. But in 2023-24, government spent 3,200 crore rupees to keep UPI free for small transactions. So he's basically said that that is not a sustainable thing, and over a period of time, someone is going to have to pay. Now, if this is being seen as an indicator that there might be something in the works somewhere to charge maybe large transactions or to charge some large traders who are using UPI. There's also a research paper that was printed in live in Mint, a survey done by local circles that says that 75% of UPI users, or 3/4, have basically said that if fees are introduced, they will stop using it. 22% are willing to pay and 3% are undecided. But also, I want you to think about the size of the UPI payments that you normally do, right? The small 200, 300, 400 rupees. If there is a small charge on it, is that something that will make you stop and say, I'm not going to do this right now, because it is habit forming, it is a convenience at this point. You don't want to be able to carry that cash. You don't actually count change. We've sort of gotten out of those habits. So it's like when you order from apps, and they put in that convenience charge, and they put in a little charge for when it is raining and when it is very late at night. You stopped looking at it because the convenience sort of trumps the charge. Are you one of those people who's likely to continue using UPI, even if they start charging for it? And that's really the question. But fundamentally, I think it will scroll back to this, right? UPI has changed behavior, and it's put India on the map when it comes to digital transactions, because no one else in the world has managed to achieve this with such a large number of people in such a complicated country for such small transactions. It's a combination of the fact that we have data that's really cheap in India. We have such a large penetration of mobile phones. We have large penetration of banking, and now we have UPI. If the government does in fact start charging and people withdraw from UPI, we'll be undoing a lot of the work that we have done right now with digital transactions. Remember, Singapore, France, UAE, Sri Lanka are all adopting their systems based on what they're learning from our system. So does it really make sense right now to sort of roll this back, and is there a different way to do it? And that's what makes UPI more than just, sort of a payment interface for us. It is a showcase of India's ability to the world of what we can do with banking and how we can lead the charge when it comes to transparency, when it comes to convenience, when it comes to marrying all of these ideas of the internet and others. So let me know what you think. Do you think the government is going to charge? Do you think the ministries and the state governments actually going to use UPI to find out who is doing the big transactions and who they want to tax? And is that going to roll back the good work that's been done on UPI so far? Leave me a comment in the comment section.